What's going on? LinkedIn, all those social media platforms, welcome. This is our first podcast. It's going to be coming up every week. We have decided to launch a podcast for company acceleration. We've been working hard, and I'll give you a little background, then I'll jump in today's topic. I'll be soloing today, but I'll have my co-host be jumping on with me later on, which would be JD in future shows or anybody from Company Acceleration. And Company Acceleration is a coaching company. We do business coaching in all different industries. One of our main focuses, our expertise is healthcare in all parts of the healthcare system, either medical or mental health. And we also help companies across the board. And there's a term that a lot of people use in scaling. It's starting to be a huge thing. When I got into helping leadership get into helping their business, and what that word pertains to is taking a company from X. If you're trying to how to grow, if your target is 1 million, you want to grow to 5 million in 18 months. How would you do that? What's the framework? How would you be able to do that? And it all starts back to your onboarding. And that's what I'm going to be talking today in today's show, as we talk through the way to onboard with purpose. We're going to talk about that. How do you choose the individuals that come into your organization, and how do you do that? And I'll be talking about onboarding properly with purpose and not make it a duck shoot. You can fill the words in because they'll know if you don't have a process when you're onboarding. I know if you're a startup company, you might be trying to get that in place. That's where company acceleration comes in that piece of it. We also help individuals come into the healthcare space. We have a lot of projects that will uplift in those spaces. We'll help them, we'll network with them, we'll tie them into places they need to be, and help them make sure they're having the fidelity of the program, or connect them what they need to do in either if it's leadership abilities, if we need to get in there and help kind of clean house and restructure, we do that a lot as well. So that's kind of our team, and I'll put the link in this show at the end so you know where to go check out the programs that we do offer. We do have 3 programs that we do offer if you want us to come in and help your team. And we'll talk that through this show. So if you want to, you can ask questions. I'm going to turn on the comment section here. I'll see if it's working. If you're listening, you can comment in here as well. See if it's working wherever platform that you're listening on. So let's dive into this today's podcast, and I'm excited to get this kicked off. We've been really working behind the scenes with Company Acceleration here in Nevada, then we're expanding in other states, and we have one of our teammates in Singapore as well. And so we're just excited in the direction we're going. We have healthcare specialists that really specialize in uplifting nonprofits and also uplifting the mental health side and healthcare side of things, and helping them know how to navigate that. But today, what I'm going to be talking about, if you're a startup, if you're getting off the ground and you're having struggles with onboarding, and the reason I'm doing this first topic, I noticed this with a few of my clients, and I wanted to really just drive this home, why this process is so important. So let's just take a scenario, and this is a very common thing. So you're going to see it all over the internet. You're going to see people talking about scaling up. There's a lot of these online coaches that really talk about it, and they're pushing it because it's the new thing. So you have to always realize that you're going to hear it. This is just new, not new information. It's old, but there's a talent in understanding how to do it. And this is the thing. In order to really do this, you have to be able to know, either been there, had the experience. And that's why, as part of being a Bloom coach, we have to have either ran a company, been some sort of leader of a company, and then exited, where I've sold and exited. And As I've had conversations with people that had it, it's interesting when the new owners come into those situations because they take away these systems and then things start imploding. Because when you've built those systems over time and you put those, that's because of learning. And so new owners sometimes come in and try to change things. What I'd encourage, if you're a VC and you buy up companies, be very careful, because when you come into a new company and you just bought it and you change the culture, it really has a strain on it. Now, let's consider this. If you are buying a business or you're starting a business and you want to get from 1 million to 5 million, so take notes. Is this going to be fun? We're going to go down through this, and hopefully this gives you some answers, and I'm going to give you tons of value here. I'm just going to give you it all. This is what I usually will do with clients, and they pay me a good amount to come in and really help them understand this model and how to structure it. And it's from learning experience. That's what I'm going to just tell you. So if you consider, every business has limitations when you first start out. And those limitations is because you have a budget restraint. You can't hire everybody. You would love to, but it would be very hard because your budget doesn't allow it. So you have to be very selective on who you bring on. And it's critical to bring on the right people so you can scale rapidly if you want to do this in 18 months. And the key of this is setting a clear vision, because if you don't have a vision, you got to start with structure first. And what is your vision? And communicating that to your team. If you're not constantly communicating your vision, you don't know where you're heading. How will you grow and hit your target if you want to have a purpose-driven company that has a purpose-driven onboarding system? You have to have a framework. In that urgency, if you're just going through and bringing on, and it's hard, today's climate right now, I'm going to tell you, it's hard to hire today because the workforce is different. Soft skills, hard skills, it's a way different market than it was prior to COVID and a little ways back. So you have to really understand your hiring mission. So let's start there. So if you're taking notes, this is a big thing. What is your hiring mission? So look at this in the sense of a hiring mission, the importance of choosing the team members and who aligns with your company values. So this is the interviewing process. How to hire an individual. Let's just take a name. We're going to call them the person Mike or Susie. You bring one of those on. They're coming through and they're screening through your process. And you want to really make sure the energy communicates growth. So when you're doing this interview process and you're walking through it, when you're hiring these individuals on, you want to really communicate your energy is about growth and commitment to the growth. And so why would you need to assess this? This candidate has to be a part of this vision. And during the interview process, you're really going to make sure you dial that in, because if you don't, it's going to really hurt you, because the next phase here is identifying the current team dynamics. So if I was to draw out, which I did, I drew out this whole idea of, if I'm bringing Nate on, and let's just visualize this with me. And if I have a structure, if I have the leader up top, I wish I would have a whiteboard, it'd be fun. Leader up top, and then I have my 4 people underneath. Let's just say that this person over on the right side or left side, if you're on the screen, is just there for a paycheck. They're about goals. They really want to know that they're going to get their check. They're really about the paycheck. The second person in on that thing is a person that might have been there since you started the company. They're about the growth, but they kind of, hey, I'm good. I don't really want to do anything any more than I have to. And then the third person in on that thing, as you learn the team dynamics, it might be goal driven, and they're really they're not worried about goals. They'll set goals, they'll go after goals, but maybe they have a lot of personal issues going on. So these are 3 individuals that you have to understand when you're bringing on Nate or Mike and Susie or whoever it is that's going to lead this. One, they have to do the job. They got to know they can do the job, and they got to know they want it. And you got to make sure they're going to really get in there and take charge and understand it. Now, the last person on this sheet, if we go across this as I'm building out this model here for you visually, if you have the last group or the last individual, they're just your bad apple. They're going to really corrupt the culture. They're going to really talk bad about you, and that you're not, when you're not in the room, they're going to gossip. They're going to tell you how bad this person is, and it's no fair. And that group, you want you want to keep Mike or whoever's coming on this onboarding process. You want to keep them away from it because you want to bridge a gap to where he or she is across that whole perspective, so that way you don't infect the individual you're onboarding. Because if they start hanging out with that last group, then he's going to be ineffective. Because what you want to do is get the less successful people out. And this is how you scale very quickly in your organization. And you go from 1 million to 5 million, if that's your goal. The power of onboarding is the key, and it's crucial that you craft and you customize and make this strategic onboarding process. Because if you go fast, they're going to sniff this out. They're going to really realize you don't really have anything together, and you're just throwing people in there, and it's going to become a very bad situation. So reframing from, you really want to reinforce what you're doing here is you're reinforcing the company values, the growth objectives. Day one, when they come in, and day two, you're continuously helping them understand what that growth process is. Now, how would this be designed? Onboarding, the experience increasing, the likelihood of success for new hires. This will help them succeed a lot better if you have an onboarding with purpose. Because if you don't, they're going to just get thrown into one of those spaces. Remember, the one that just wants the paycheck, the one that's kind of there, they've been there for a while, they're okay, but they're not motivated to do growth, or the one that has goals, but they have a lot of personal issues going on, or the bad group that's going to corrupt and cause the issues within your organization. So again, what I'm talking about is creating a culture of accountability and growth. You have to shift this, and it all starts with your onboarding with purpose, and especially with a climate that you have to really shift. And there's a saying is hire slow, fire fast. Shifting from just doing the job mindset to a culture of everyone sees the growth as a competitive win. So I want to restate that so you guys really hear this. Shifting the mindset of just doing the job. They got to be bought in. They're with you as an owner to help you get in there, grow it, and they're on board with you with the culture of mindset that everybody sees that growth, and it has a competitive winning spirit. And why high performing culture is so important. This is, you have to inspire your employees to take the hill. And what that means is they're going to go at it, they're going to work together, and they're going to take the hill. They're going to go up and conquer the hill and overpower the challenges and the issues that may come. Because business is messy sometimes. Business is tough sometimes. And I sent a video today, most businesses, there's a fun video online that it shows them building an airplane while they're flying. And it's a parody, but what they're trying to say is startup businesses, or when you get a business off the ground, you're building it as you're flying. You're building as you're going. You don't have all the answers. You might have a payroll issue where you have to adjust something. You might have a system issue where you have to adjust it. You might have an alignment issue and you have to align. So really addressing and restraining from misalignment is important. So let's talk about that. So misalignment is handling the team membership who is not aligned with the growth goals. You have to figure out which team and where they are, and you got to really recognize when it's time to make some difficult people decision changes and moves for the greater good of the company. That's a statement we use all the time as a Bloom coach and as I've worked over the industries, is it's always about the greater good and what choices will you make to make those choices. And then the next piece, and the one I want to really drive home, is maintaining morale and making sure that the structure has integrity. So if it's there, you're going to keep it in place. How to tighten the onboard process, how to tweak what's not working, and how to commit to excellence on it. So, what I've seen a lot, and I want you to really hear this, if you're a hiring manager, if you're an HR director, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to visit with you if you want to go through and talk about some processes. But what I just encourage you, get a process in place. It's not overthinking it, making sure you have either a step 2, step 3, because the traditional hiring process is interview, second interview, final interview, but that's not what I'm talking here. Again, going back to what I said here, is it's not just about doing the job, it's a mindset or culture, and I'm reading here, that everybody sees the growth collectively in wins, competitive win. So it's about that mind shift. Is you're interviewing the potential leader, make sure they align with that mind shift. Then having the roles of the leaderships so clear, and that they understand what their job is, and that they see the vision, and they are set in high standards. This is the big thing that you have to see. Owners, what happens a lot, owners, if you're an owner, you are the one that is blamed for everything, even though you hire. And this is the frustration. I'm going to talk to owners right now. This is the frustration. So you leaders, listen to this. If you have an owner that's hired you to play a role or a position, the most frustrating thing as an owner is that you're paying them good money that you might not have right at the beginning. You might be borrowing it. You might be trying to get it. You took a business loan to get off the ground, and you're sitting in a room and you're constantly feeling like you're still solving all the problems, but you have a lot of people on your team not making the decisions. It's probably the biggest frustration I hear from business owners as a coach, is they have a high payroll, a high executive team, but none of them are owning it, taking the hill, aligning with the theory of growth. They get on their own hill, and they get in their head, this is the way it should be, and this is the only way, instead of being part of the team growth. And there's a lot of decisions that you have to make as a team collectively. So this is the last, I'm almost to the last here, but I want to go into this word that the industry is using right now. So scaling, but scaling the right way. So you're going to see a lot of Facebook ads if you're looking at these things. The coaching industry jumps on the trends, these YouTubers. And so you have to be really careful, because a lot of them will just start throwing together these workshops and saying, hey, come and I'm going to help you scale, and I'm going to get you here. And if you want to do the funnel hacks, if you're a brick and mortar, that's up to you. You have to just be cautious, because scaling the right way is imagining your organization and every team member is engaged and focused and really has the lead, and they're understanding what they are. And that's really designing it into an accountability chart, not a flow chart. And doing an intentionally hiring, onboarding, and leading with stability. This means, you really have to make sure everybody sees the growth. So as an owner, you have to get that purpose and that vision out. And you have to really step and reach for those goals. So if you want to go from 1 million to 5 million by building a cohesive, motivated team, they have to know how to get there. This is the key, because when you come into business, let's just be honest, to be in the business world, your whole purpose of being in business is to have set your time, have freedom, be able to let the business work so you can go do things. That's why you went from, because not everybody starts with a business unless you were born and you took over a father's business or inherited a family business. So a lot of us will come from being an employee getting an idea, drawing it out maybe on a napkin, if I say that right. And I'm not kidding. Look, here's a business idea I drew out on a napkin. You can't see that with the lighting, but it's a whole business structure that I was just sitting there and I drew it out. This is where a lot of companies have been made just on brainstorming on and I saved it because as I build that out, I'm looking at structure before I visualize it. But if you've been a business owner once, if you ran a race once, you know how to do it a second time. And so as a coach, when I come into these organizations, I look for the dynamics of the leadership team right away. I try to find who's there for a paycheck, who's been around so long that they're in bad habits, and then who has goals, but they might have a lot of personal stuff going on that they're not really taking the hill or they're not stepping up. And then you have that bad apple group that you have to be careful to keep your leaders away from. Because once you exit the room as the owner or as the leader or as the VC or as the CEO, they start talking about you. And that's not aligning with the team with cohesive motivation to build. So you have to really make some people changes. That might be tough. Might be tough. So building a future leader. So let's talk about that. Envisioning a path of employees within the organization. Now, here's what it looks like is how to onboard and train and hire and becoming a future leader who carries the culture forward. This is important because building future leaders, I'm going to go back when I used to coach. I coached college soccer for just a period of time, and I would always build future players no different than future leaders because I'd have my starters that I thought at the beginning of the season were the rock stars of the tryout season. And then as I went on and I saw how their cohesive team playing spirit was, some of those starters that would start at the beginning, I would bench them and rotate them out with the second string because I was building that second string because I wasn't quite sure yet until I looked at how they played. Now, I always have this story, and I shared it a lot of times. I had a player, his name was Corbin. He played for me. He never had any soccer experience. He never played in high school. He played for the band. He was very committed in his studies, but he wanted to play while he was in college. He wanted to do something different. He was very fit, very, very good shape. I think he ran, I could be wrong, he ran cross country. So he had good endurance. But why I brought Corbin on the team was his attitude. Anytime I'd tell Corbin to do something, yes, coach, and then he'd go do it. And anytime I taught him something, he would do it. So even though it was at a college level and it was his first time, he worked his butt off. And so Corbin went from second string to starter, and I took out one guy named Ryan who thought he was the gift of soccer and knew everything, and he wouldn't listen. And he really caused the team a few good tournaments because he was stubborn and he wouldn't be a team player. He also fit in the bad bucket because he would influence the team members to go out at night before a game and they'd be really tired. And so that influence would cause the tournament for them. So when we were traveling, I caught them sneaking out and he was always the ringleader of it. And he was supposed to be the star of the team. Well, later I cut him. I made a decision. That was a hard choice because, as a coach, you're like, oh, he's so good, but he's so ineffective and it's such a bad apple. And you're going to have some of those on your team. I'll take the Corbins all day that say, yes, what can I do? Okay, let me go do exactly what you just shared. Because usually the owner is the one that has the experience because they've either ran the facilities or they ran the companies or they ran the brick and mortars. So when you come in, now in shifting, I'm talking to you leaders. If you are a leader in a company, not the owner, you need to create the culture. You were hired for that reason. So final thoughts here is just to recap. I want to really just walk this home. And this is something I'm going to take a drink here. So just to recap this, we're talking about hiring, intentional hiring, protecting your onboarding process, fostering a growth focused culture. I'm going to say that again, fostering a growth focused culture. If you do not do that, you're going to struggle. Why building a successful company about alignment and accountability and clarity? I'm going to say it again, accountability and clarity. Two main things. Create the accountability in that flow chart. That's what I help teach my clients, is how to create not a flow chart, but an accountability chart. And knowing that everybody on there has 3 or 4 things that they own, and you never have to guess who owns it. You got to really clear up the seats, because I'm telling you, 80% of the employees or leaders do not read their job description. It's very rare. You got that 1%er, like in the gym, that's the bodybuilders. There's that 1%er that's really good and they read everything and they're very in tune in what's going on. So outline what you can help, like, having a focus of accountability, making sure that you're scaling thoughtfully, hiring thoughtfully, onboarding, create an onboarding committee. Like, just take like 3 or 4 of you with your HR director and create a committee where you just meet once a month and talk about your onboarding. Is it working? Are we keeping it accountable? If you have to meet more frequent than pulse, make sure that pulsing. What I see in organizations today, I had one, and I'm going to tell you this. It blew my mind. Because when I'll come in, I'll do a free 90-minute, 45, 90-minute session. I'll come in for free and I'll explain the coaching and the journey that I take them through on the onboarding, the 4 sessions once a month until we get you all set up and get the system in place, do your strategy, get your quarterly priorities, all that. And I got to the point where we talk about meeting pulsing, and this blew my mind. And I'm going to just throw this out here as I conclude today's podcast on this, is that I said, well, here's how we do the meeting pulsing. We're going to help you define your meetings, 90 minutes for the C-suite, get in and get out, but it's structured, and this is how we structure it. With purpose, we're going to meet instead of just meeting for the sake of meeting. You're going to get in there, really open up the meeting and spend 60 minutes solving all the issues. And they said, well, we don't hold meetings. This group doesn't meet. And it was about 4 or 5 of them as the C-suite. And they say, yeah, we just meet when we need to. It's like once a month, or we do a check-in, or I meet as we're walking down the hall. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I flushed it out a little bit. So they were so resistant on having a structured meeting and really knowing their KPI. And this is what we call, and this is nothing new. This is from all the great influencers out there, good, great, Jim Collins, all those individuals that have wrote so many books, Ken Blanchard, is if you're not pulsing, if you don't have a pulse on it frequently, making sure that it's structured and it's just not a drive-by. I also see this in organizations where they do too fast of meetings. Your leadership needs at least 90 minutes once a week. You can do huddles if you need them throughout the week in other departments. But from that 90-minute, you guys need to create a pulsing from department heads as well. So department leads meet with the C-suite. Then they go down to the mid-level management. Now, again, we're talking about onboarding a leader. If a leader is going to take over your organization, you have to know the dynamics of where you're not pulsing and what issues you're having among your team, and we're the ones that are not really bought into the growth, and you got to get the less successful ones out, because it's not fair for both of you. And just to drive that point home is what I say, as an owner, it's not, you're there to win. I'm going to say it again. As a business owner, a lot of people don't realize they're going to vilify you as a business owner, and they're going to complain. They're going to point fingers. That bad apple group will corrupt the organization so fast. That's why you have to work with the right leaders to take the hill and get them out and let them move on to somewhere else, because you're allowing them to come into your house and your home, which is your business. It was your idea on a napkin, or you got an idea a long time ago that you wanted to be a business owner. Don't let people take that away. Don't worry about what they say. Move people around fast. Again, fire fast, hire slow. The slow part is having a onboarding system on purpose, really sitting down. Don't think you're so busy, because if everything's important, nothing's important. And as I shared earlier about the group that won't do their meetings, as a coach, I will not coach you if I have to drag you in. That means I have to drag you around to start changing things. And it's not effective as a coach. And it just, some people are just not coachable, and some people are not teachable. And it goes with when you're hiring people to be your leaders, it's no different. If you have to drag them in and they kind of go rogue and you're dragging them around and they're always pushing back, that's the wrong person. It's your business, your purpose, you're going a certain path. So get your vision to help everybody that chose to be a part of that vision to do it. So last story I'll share with you. I met a very good entrepreneur. She was a single mom, or newly divorced single mom. She had a vision to start a app for dental hygienists. So she created the app. She said, hey, I want to help them post their resume, be able to push it out. She did a good job. She turned that business and sold it around. She worked it for a long time. She talked the right engineers, the right team for several years. And then she turned and sold it for 30, 40, or upwards millions. She then turned around and gave her team a really thank you for the ones that were taking the hill with her, fighting the battle. It wasn't just a job. It was a competitive mindset to win. And it was really cool to hear that story. And so there's many more stories of just really good entrepreneurs that started a business, painted the vision, got the right leaders in the structure, and clarified the structure, and built out an onboarding process on purpose. That's it, guys. Thank you for joining for the first show. Comment below, share this, let us know. We're going to be doing this. I'll be hitting this once a week. Either be live or recorded, but we're going to be sharing lots of content with you. We are taking clients on. Just get a hold of us, reach out to us. We're doing a lot here locally. We're expanding, as I said, and we do have 3 packages as coaches. There's a group of us. We're just really motivated to help both in the healthcare space and other industries. We take all industries because the system works across all companies. It's really just how to scale your business. If you're wanting to go from 1 million to 5 to 3 million, it's really just deciding what your final goals are and where you want to do and where you want to head. And I that's all I have for you today is reach out. Let's get on a call for free, and I'll help you, and I'll give you lots of value for that free call. And not everybody's a fit. I mean, I'm looking for those that, I usually work with companies that are 1 to 2 million or more, so they can afford the coaching, because you do have to be able to afford it. It's not because it's a lot of work on both ends, but it gets you from going to, like, say, the gym, and you're working out your muscles. If you have a coach that keeps you accountable, no difference in business. You need a business coach. You need to make sure you have a system and you dial that in. And some companies, when they come, they're doing 16 million or more, and they're doing really well, but they've grown so fast that we have to go back and tweak those systems. So that's why I always say it's a really good one. But what we did for Company Acceleration, we created a model for those that are starting out, because I don't want to leave you out. And if you're just starting out, we have a really simple model. It's $500 a month. We work with a small group, and we do a huddle, and we teach the same principles, so it's affordable for everybody. It's no different like when you do group fitness coaching. When you go to the gym, you'll see the group of either men or women just working together. it's the same concept. So we put a few of you industry wise in there, and it's just really awesome to see that. I'll share it in the show notes here. You'll have the link. You can go check out our 3 packages, and we'd love to just help you, get you going. And we have all the cart where we can come in and give you kind of that fuse. If you need a strategic planning, if you need some strategic planning to do your yearly planning with you, we do that very well as well. So let us know what we can help. Check the show notes, go check out, get on a call with us, and we look forward to working with you. Until next time, continue to onboard with purpose. All right, guys, take care and keep pushing.